Hey everyone! I'm your host Reina Rupak,
And I'm Dimpi Yadav,
and we are the Girl of Mukti podcast.
the inner voice that tells your story.
Our story.
It's okay to feel unstable. It's okay to detach. It's okay to hide. It's okay to ask help. It's okay to not be okay. Your mental health is just as important as everything else in your life. And this week, Girl of Mukti has yet another interesting and educational episode for you. Today, here with us, we have two dignitaries from the world of mental health. Dr. Anisha Mahindrkar, who is an applied psychologist and trainer. She is also the founder and director of Illumine, a consultancy firm that provides psychological services and curates special workshops for clients span India and abroad. She has received the Youngest Achiever Award 2018 by the UNO NEVA for work regarding applied psychology in the field of education. She believes in community service and is a profound baker and chef. She practically makes everything at home and never visits a bakery or an ice cream shop. Next, Pratishtha Shah is a mental health professional and has done her master's in counseling psychology. A youth mentor, she works closely with the next gen and conducts various seminars on key topics concerning them. She believes that the youth of today are truly the stars of the future and works relentlessly and doesn't leave an opportunity to make a difference. She believes that age is just a number and nothing actually stops us from achieving our goals except our mindset. She shares simple but essential life skill tips that helps us to be the best version of ourselves on her podcast, Life in Sync with Pratishtha. And to have the conversation with them about mental health, we have with us Niharika Shah, who is part of the Girl of Mukti podcast team. She was born in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh and was raised in Sohar, Oman. She has done her BTech from Jaipur and is currently working in LTI Bangalore. Growing up, she was always the kid who took part in all activities. She loved drawing as much as she loved playing basketball. She absolutely loved public speaking, and binge watching interviews of celebrities has always been her thing. Without any further ado, let's talk about mental health.
So, good afternoon, Dr. Pratishtha and Dr. Anisha. It's our pleasure to have such charismatic personalities on our platform. I'm sure the audience cannot wait to listen to your invaluable insights about mental health. So, let's begin our discussion here. My first question is to Dr. Anisha. Since the world is going through a pandemic and it has taken a toll on everyone's mental health, how can we take care of ourselves in these circumstances? And there are people, right, in this world who have lost their loved ones. There are people who are forced to stay apart from their family members because the world has just shut down. So how does one deal with so much going on mentally?
Yes. So to start with, I would probably say, although it is a global phenomena, it has affected each of us very differently. And it is quite an overwhelming situation for all of us. So I would say it starts with your routine. Make sure you create a routine and you stick by it. Because most of the times what happens is because it's a work from home situation or a situation where you're not allowed to go outside the house, you mess up your sleep and eat timings. So this messes up your body system. And your body is also connected to your mind. So if you have not eaten well, you have not slept well, you will be irritable rather than how you would have been on a regular day. So first point is please make sure that you have a routine and you stick to your routine. When I say routine, food time and sleep time. Second one, just know that it is a temporary phase. Okay, whatever phase that you're going through, whatever situation you're going through, it is a temporary phase. This is not how your life is going to be for the rest of its journey. Okay, this idea itself will give you some amount of strength to learn to deal with it. So I think with these two tips, we can go ahead and it will help you to a large extent of trying to get back your balance.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, I mean, Dr. Anisha has rightly put it that, all these small steps will actually, like she said, that this is not how life is going to be always. With that, also to take care of us, our mental health is very, very important because we've all been through different amounts of stress and something that we have never seen before. So to accept that and or to take the required help if necessary.
Yes, definitely. I agree with what both of you have told us. So my next question is for you, Dr. Pratishtha. How can a parent identify their child's poor mental health, and what are the primary steps that they should take before you actually consult a professional in this scenario?
Okay, so mental health, I mean, small things, Niharika, okay, little things that you need to be aware of. Like a child used to be happy and now he's not, or he's not sleeping well, not eating well, is, either very aggressive or very withdrawn, right? Small things where he wants to share or he's shouting, a lot. Small things that you might think are a little off. And I will add to it that you really don't have to wait for things to go downhill to approach a professional. So, like Dr. Anisha, I'm sure she'll agree that it's not about that when you get at the end of the road, then you need a doctor. If you think that things are not going well and the kid is not, your child is not opening up to you, go and seek professional help. And how you can help? Yeah, your second part of the question, how you can help is to give, to empathize first, to be there for your kid most importantly. So a lot of times we just listen, we don't really hear. That is very, very important, to show them whatever happens, and whatever they are going through, they are going to be there for them. And if they can help in any way, surely, or reach out to a professional.
Yes. So if I can add on to what Dr. Pratishtha has already said, I would say, like she said, it's small things. And, it's very similar to how you care for yourself on a physical level. If you get a cut, if you get a burn, what do? You immediately look after it. You apply a band-aid. So similarly, your child goes through, or even you go through different phases of life. You will have times where you're feeling sad, bad, that time you need to notice how the child is behaving. A lot of times parents feel they are ill-equipped, they don't know how to handle. So at that time, please go talk to a professional. And talking to the last part of the question, I want you guys, in today's tech-savvy world, you can look up for a variety of specialists, right, for a physical health. The same thing works for mental health also. The first thing people do is they confuse the terminologies, or they think one person knows everything. Please look up people who can, cater to your needs. Like, for example, if you're having a teenager, you need to go to a specialist who deals with teenagers. You can't go to a child specialist, or you can't go to a marriage counselor. Right? So that way, because we are technologically so advanced, you can do a background search or a check on the professional that you're going. Like how you check on a doctor, please check on a mental health professional. If someone says, I'm qualified, find out, are they really qualified? Have they dealt with such cases? Another thing is, when you talk to a mental health professional, you can tell them, listen, this is my first time. I have never gone through counseling or therapy. I have a few questions. Can you please answer them? And 9 out of 10 times, your mental health professionals will be more than happy to oblige and give you a clear picture. Okay. So please take that first step, ask questions, and try to find your answers before you, directly blindly follow somebody. That I would definitely like to add here.
Yeah, very, 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 very important. That's really important.
Yes. So basically, you have to create a safe space for your child where he or she can talk out their feelings. And also later on, if you're planning to approach a therapist, you need to have your own research done where you know that the person is a legit person and they can help your child in the best way possible. So now, going on to the next question. We know that even in these times, there still is a lot of stigma involving mental health. So a lot of times a child's mental health issues get neglected by their parents. So many parents today, they don't understand what depression or what anxiety or what, these common terms are. So when they don't understand it, they start neglecting what suffering their child is going through. So would you say that that is toxic parenting? Or if not, then what are the signs of toxic parenting and how does one deal with the same?
Okay, so I would not call that toxic parenting. See, we all are not fully aware of what mental health is all about, and especially the disorders. So some parents, even though they might want to help, might not know what actually it is, right? So toxic parenting is actually, it's very severe. Okay, where when a child's emotional needs are neglected, the parent is self-absorbed. Okay, they are ignoring the child's physical as well as emotional needs. That is toxic. Toxic is a very severe word. Okay, what you are saying, probably where parents are not aware, is parents are ignorant, right? Like we might not know all the subjects that come up, or all the things that are happening around us. So that awareness might be lacking in some parents, but that's not toxicity. Toxicity is where they will actually the kid is completely ignored, or they are manipulated emotionally. Okay, they will not even know that they are being manipulated. They neither their needs are important, neither their emotions are important. And this is going on consistently. Okay, so by nature that parent is, I think, not aware of his needs and the needs of his kids as well. So where there is a severity in ignorance of the kids, that is toxic parenting.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pratishtha. Dr. Anisha, do you want to add something to it?
Yes, I would like to add a little bit. Like she said, toxic is a very strong word. We can probably talk about ignorance, right? So if I'm looking at it from a parent perspective, you want the best for the child. So the first thing that you tend to do is you discuss your child's problem with other people, isn't it? So even if 1 out of 10 of you have an idea of what counseling is or what mental health is, they will be able to help the child. And depending on the age of the child, things can happen. So if you're looking at a child in a primary school, for first standard, second standard, third standard, these children, they have a tendency, they don't keep quiet. If there is a problem, they voice it out. So even if at home nobody's listening, there are so many other places that the child is associated with. It has friends, it has a school, it probably goes to daycare center, it goes to other classes. Somebody, it can talk and say, I'm having a problem, and things can go forward. Right? So I would not actually put the entire blame on the parents, because I think they're already carrying quite enough on their shoulders. So I would probably call it ignorance. Toxic parenting is where the parent refuses to be a parent. There are certain boundaries, no? As a parent, you need to care, you need to nurture. When the person refuses to do that, that is toxic. And that's where a serious intervention needs to be done. So sometimes situations get so serious that you might have to go through a police station, the procedure to go forward. So I think we can look at it in two ways. One is ignorance and one is toxicity. Toxicity is where you don't even feel this is your parent. They're not even doing the basic things. Ignorance is where you're looked after, food, water, everything is looked after, but your emotional needs are probably not catered to that much. They're not understanding. So first, let us identify which category it is, and then we can take a step forward. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, doctors. And so my next question is that a lot of times in our mental health is not regarded as a valid problem that can impact academics, professional, and other areas of life as well. So what are some generic methods that we all can adopt in order to tackle the stress?
So see, Niharika, because mental health is now getting the importance that it should have a long time ago, we don't realize its impact. Okay, we think, okay, a kid is not doing well in school, it's okay, he will get over it. Sometimes he or she may, but a lot of times there is something that is behind the scenes that's going on, and that needs to be addressed. Right? So if you're, say, for example, if you're stressed out or you're worried, okay, or you're fearful of something, will you be able to give 100% in your studies or your professional job or anything?
No, definitely not.
You won't, right? So there is something that needs to be addressed. And when sometimes things just work out on their own, oh, okay, or you can handle them, but then there are times when you don't know something, what is happening, but why is it happening is we don't have a clue about it. At those times, we need to understand that there is something going on. And like they say that physical and mental health, they are, they're dependent on each other. Like they go hand in hand. So
yes, definitely.
Very, very important to know that it is not only physically or intellectually that a child might not be able to cope up. There might be some emotional turmoil that he or she is going through. So that is very, very important to understand that it does happen. Mental health does have an impact on students, their studies, their professional life. See, like for example, when we have our exams, or if we have these athletes who go on the field, right? They are all stressed. The entire country is looking up to them. They have, so many things going on in their mind. But now they are channelizing their stress to, as a motivating factor. So one the students can do is to not be afraid of stress. Okay, stress is a part of life. It is up to us what we do with it, whether we channelize it or we are fearful of it. So that is one thing. Be aware what are the triggers, stress triggers. What is it that's affecting you and what is the belief behind it?
So basically, either we can succumb to it and fall under the pressure, or we can shine from it and learn something out of it.
Absolutely. Right, simple method. So this is cognitively, right? You change your self-talk, you change your beliefs on a very practical level. Something as simple as deep breathing. Okay,
Yes.
being mindful, being in the now. Stress is what we think, okay, kal kya ho, what will happen tomorrow? Will I be able to score well? Will I get a good college? That is tomorrow, right? So when you are stressed and you don't know what happens tomorrow, be in the now.
Yes,
So
definitely.
mindfulness is one thing, yes. Relaxation techniques, deep breathing techniques, meditation, these are very simple things. Going for a walk, listening to music that you know that really relaxes you. Exercise, eating good food, these are very practical things that you can do to manage your stress.
Yes, definitely. Dr. Anisha, do you want to add something to that?
I think she has summed it all. I would probably just say that it's about your perception. It's not something that you can delete out of your life. You can't remove it out of your life. It's a part of your life. How you look at it. So as you start progressing, you start becoming more and more successful. There is more expectations that you have of yourself, others have of yourself, which will create a stressful situation. Now, stress is basically when you feel that the present situation is expecting more than your capacity. That is all. So you need to look at it more as a challenge rather than a problem. So when you make that shift in your perception, it starts bringing out skills in you and you become more skilled to deal with that situation. So first, it starts with perception. Second, in today's competitive driven world, you need to learn to take rest. Okay, you need to learn to give yourself, like she was saying, do things that you enjoy, maybe listening to music, hobbies, whatever it is, going for a walk. It helps you relax. You need to have small periods of relaxation in between while you're being productive. So this is how I think, you can handle stress on a day-to-day level. Very easily, it can be done.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure that will benefit our listeners a lot. So, Dr. Anisha, don't you feel a lot of times that people, they try to push themselves out from darkness, but considering students who are not able to afford professional help due to lack of finances, so what options do you think are available to them to get access to affordable therapy sessions?
Okay, so first off, let me make something very clear that therapy, for that matter, or mental disorder, once you get diagnosed with a mental disorder, your entire treatment will come under your medical insurance. This has been a landmark decision made by the government of India, and according to the Mental Health Act of 2017, right? So if you go to a therapist and if you have a problem, your fees will be looked after your medical insurance. Okay, this is what most of your insurance companies will also have, but for you to avail it, you need to talk to them or ask them to allow that. That is one thing. Second, when you feel you have a problem and you want to go to a therapist, if you're a student or if you have just started working and we know you have a meager amount that comes to you, you can talk to your therapist and say, I'm a student. You get a lot of student discounts because today we are professionals, but we also started out as students, right? Right, so we have seen mental health professionals as a part of our course and other things, so we know how it works. It is not as expensive as you think. The amount of money that you can spend on a pizza is the exact amount of money you can spend on yourself to feel happy. It's about how you look at it. So you're feeling bad, you probably order a pizza or you Swiggy something. How much is it going to cost you? Anywhere around 500. The same amount is what it will cost you for a 40 to a 15-minute session with a qualified therapist. I'm not talking about people who are offering free therapy. I'm talking about a person who is working, who's licensed therapist. You can go to them for amount as less as this. So there are people who are offering quality work. So this idea that you have is, oh, therapy is very expensive. That is a wrong assumption. I would probably say that. Okay, therapy is not at all expensive. Maybe you're knocking at the wrong doors if you're thinking that way.
Probably. Yes. I'm sure
that there are actually a few organizations who actually offer free therapy. So obviously the counselors are paid, but since it's an NGO driven organization, they do offer free therapy online. And like Dr. Anisha said, wherever there's a clinical disorder, it is I think it is not mandatory, but it's important that you approach a clinical psychologist or a licensed one, because that again goes into the clinical area of mental disorders.
Yes, definitely. So now coming on to the next one, we have heard of the word imposter syndrome. So many teenagers today, and even you can say working adults, they today suffer from imposter syndrome where they doubt their skills or talents or accomplishments. And they always have this fear that they'll be exposed as being a fraud. So how does one deal in that kind of a situation?
Yes, Niharika, it's not only students. A lot of us probably
Yes.
at some point or the other we've gone through this, and it's just now that we know, okay, this is called as the imposter syndrome, and that happens due to lack of confidence. Like for example, when we start out also, okay, and when we're starting out, it doesn't mean we don't know anything, but it also doesn't mean that we know everything. Right, so there might be times when you doubt yourself, oh, do I know this? Maybe that person knows better, and that's okay. When you're talking about imposter syndrome, it is mainly because of lack of self confidence, one. Okay, constant comparing with someone. Okay, there'll always be, none of us are perfect, right? So it's not mandatory that we know everything. Of course, depending on the field that we are attached to, there is a certain amount, and you're always learning. The most important thing about handling imposter syndrome is, one, to have confidence. Okay, write down your strengths. Okay, write down what you're good at. So
Yes.
I'm sure all of us accomplish something or the other during the course of our profession. So note down all those things, give a pat on your back. Okay, you've done good. So okay, and you're always progressing. Keep learning, keep upskilling yourself. Yeah, like I said earlier, don't compare. Someone with 10-year experience and someone with 2 years, there will be a difference, right? But that doesn't mean being an imposter. The word imposter is like being a fraud.
Yes.
That I don't know anything, but I'm just putting up a mask. Okay, so we can have self doubts and all of that, but the more important thing to consider is that when you consistently keep doubting yourself, then there is a chance that you will stop your learning, your self-worth, your self-confidence will go down. So learn to actually know what it is. We know a lot of words. Niharika, the problem nowadays is we are actually, loosely using words.
Yes.
So that becomes, so sadness becomes depression, right? So
We don't
we
know
need
the
to
depth
understand
of
what it
those
is.
words.
What
We are
was
not
that?
aware of the depth of those words.
Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes it can be really dangerous. So
Yes,
believe in yourself. If you need help, take help. It's not because you've done certain course or you've got a degree. If you ask someone for help, you'll be, thought of as an imposter. Take help, keep learning, celebrate your accomplishments. So, and it's okay. I think everyone goes through it. So don't feel that you are the only one. It's okay. But we need to get over it instead of believing that.
Yes, definitely. So we basically have to look at it like it's our journey, and there will be,
Absolutely.
and it's going to be different from what others are going through.
And always you can have a mentor, you can have a guide. If you feel that you're not, when you're starting out, you don't feel confident enough, have a guide or a mentor who will show you the way. You learn things, so that's okay.
Yes. So, Dr. Anisha, my next question is, we hear a lot of people today say that I'm having a panic attack or I'm having an anxiety attack. So what is the major difference that you would say is between an anxiety attack and a panic attack? And how can one realize that they are facing that, and how do they tackle it?
Okay, so to start with, let's look at the difference. So the anxiety attack is something that builds up slowly with severity. So in the beginning, it probably starts with, let us say, breathlessness, little bit of palpitations. So with every passing minute, it gets more and more severe. That is an anxiety attack, where it builds up in its severity or intensity. A panic attack is something that happens immediately or instantaneously. You see these Bollywood movies and suddenly you hear something, you get a heart attack kind of a feeling. That is a panic attack. The feeling that you probably feel with every passing minute, like a dear one is outside, it's raining heavily, you don't know when they're going to come home. With every passing minute, you're getting more and more restless. That is an anxiety situation. Okay, so attack means something is happening to you on a physical level. It's not just over here, it is happening on a physical level. So what are the symptoms you can see is breathlessness will be there. A lot of negative thoughts will start coming. You might start gentle shivering. Different parts of the body might start shivering. You will feel that butterfly feeling near the navel region. So these are all symptoms of attacks or any kind of a situation that is affecting your physical health. So if you're seeing these kind of symptoms, like if you're worrying, you start shivering or you start stammering or your hands get very sweaty, you start sweating all over. Okay, if this continues for more than 2 to 3 minutes, that means your body is going through an attack or what we call as a crisis situation. Then please go talk to a counselor. Okay, that is one thing. Two, it is very normal to feel anxious. Don't put that much pressure on yourself that I should be perfect all the time. No, you can feel bad, you can feel sad, but it's not about how many times you feel bad, it's how quickly you come back. Something has not worked out for you. Okay, maybe the person that you liked didn't accept your proposal, or maybe you didn't get a job. How many days are you going to take to recover? That is important. You feel bad. Nobody's telling you don't feel bad, don't be human. That is a part of being human. You can cry, that's okay. But if you're spending more than 2-3 hours in that feeling, then you need help. Okay, that means something is wrong. You need to go talk to a professional who can help you. 2-3 hours of feeling a particular emotion is a very normal human tendency. So like Dr. Pratishtha was saying, we are using our words very loosely. So you're feeling very sad, your child has not come home and it's been only 15-20 minutes. You're getting an anxiety attack? No, you're getting anxious. Difference. Okay? So we'll need to identify that.
I so agree with Dr. Anisha on this because it is so important to understand that no emotion is bad, really. Anger, worry, all of it is part, like she said, being human, right? And what happens is that we go from one extreme to another. You have to be happy, positive. All those words are we hear around us, right? Positive thinking, all of that is fine, but know what you're feeling and it is okay to feel that way. So I completely agree with Dr. Anisha. And yeah, if it is persistent, then you need help.
Yes, definitely. So my next question is for Dr. Anisha. What are the signs of PTSD and how can one get over it? And why do you think it's necessary to share the trauma with someone?
PTSD means, let me make it clear once again for all our listeners, post-traumatic stress disorder, which means to say you have gone through a difficult situation, which is difficult for you. Okay, it need not be the same for everybody. Okay, it is a difficult situation and you're not able to recover from it, as in you're having the same flashbacks, you're probably having nightmares, you think about it, you are having anxiety attack symptoms in the body. Okay, this is called PTSD. So why this happens is there is something that has happened in your life which you did not expect. So that has given you a shock. So when you discuss this with someone, and when I say someone, I probably am pointing out at a professional. Okay, I will tell you why a professional and not your best friend. There's a difference. So when you discuss it with a professional, they are able to help you identify and normalize. See, anything when you're feeling bad or happy or any extremes of emotion, you feel like sharing it. When you share it, your burden mentally, it becomes less. That is why you have to share your trauma. Now, when I say share your trauma or talk about it, I'm talking about a professional because they know exactly where what is going wrong, how they can help you. When you share it with your mother, with your best friend, with your person whom you're sharing your cab with and all of that, they're going to talk from their experience. They are two different people. Okay, so they might end up giving you wrong advice. You don't want to go down there. You're already going through something. You don't want to take extra wrong medication and spoil your system, isn't it? So preferably talk it out with a person that you feel comfortable with, where you feel you will not be judged. If you don't have anyone like that, or if you're having second thoughts, please seek a counselor. Tell this is what I'm feeling. So how do you come out of it? It will take time. Nothing is overnight. Okay, so don't think that your counselor is a magic fairy. She'll have a wand, she'll whip it, and you become happy and smiling. It doesn't work that way. We are here to help you with the process. Okay, so the real magic is with you and the decisions that you make. So make the decision to see a professional and give yourself time. Everybody takes time. Another thing we see is when I have heard from my own clients, they would have discussed whatever they're going through with somebody, maybe a spouse or a parent. Most of the time, people don't know how to handle other people's problems. So they will try to generalize it, they try to trivialize it. They say, oh, it's nothing, do this, do that. And that puts them in the wrong way. So don't take that risk. You've already gone through something that's difficult. Why do you want to take additional risk? Please seek a professional. Right? So this is what you can do. First, identify what you're going through. Sadness is common. The same feeling is staying for 2-3 days. You're getting, strange physical body symptoms. Your stomach is getting upset. You're not able to get sleep. You're having nightmares repeatedly. Then something is wrong. It is PTSD. Go talk to a counselor.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I always say, when in doubt, seek professional help. So you don't know whether it is or it is not. Let a professional do that for you.
Yes, so basically the key here is to give it as much time as possible and basically to just let it heal at its own pace. So Dr. Anisha, could you also tell our listeners what is OCD and how can they identify it?
OCD is called as obsessive compulsive disorder. And this is also one of those famous terms that are being used by a lot of people just like that. OCD is where all the time we hear it to an extent where if someone is wanting something to be very much in order, they say, oh, you're being OCD. Please understand, wanting things in order, wanting things to be perfect, wanting things to be excellent is not a disorder. It is a normal tendency. As simple as you're going. Yeah,
it has become like an internet slang now that I have OCD, I have OCD.
Absolutely.
You don't have OCD, you're just a person who's a little sensitive and you want things to be proper. Let me give you an example. You go to a restaurant and you order food. You want the food to be served to you properly in a plate. You want it to be thrown at your table? No. So if you're going to demand a proper plate, cutlery, everything neat, clean to be served, that means you're normal. Does not mean you're OCD. OCD is when you cross that line where anything and everything you're doing becomes anxiety driven or it creates stress for you and for others. It might be about cleanliness. It's good to be hygienic. It's good to have a bath, but having a bath 4 times a day, okay, and probably having severe violent reactions in a physical body the moment you feel something is dirty, creating stress for yourself, creating a lot of trouble for people around you, that is a problem. That is called OCD. How do you manage this? First, like I said, let us identify what is normal and what is abnormal. If you feel you're a little bit of a perfectionist, well, that is okay. Most successful people in the world they are perfectionists. Otherwise, they will not be that successful. Okay, so please accept that certain things that you are asking for, like basic cleanliness, basic order, is normal, is human. If you are stressing yourself out so much so that you're probably falling ill, or it is not allowing you to function normally as a human being, or you're doing that stressful situation, you're giving that stress to others, then you have a problem. So you need to consciously start working on changing your thought pattern. It starts with your thoughts. And one of the common mistakes we see people doing with obsessive thoughts is they try hard to stop it. Don't stop it. Thoughts cannot be stopped. It will keep coming. It's like those passing traffic. You can't stop it. It will happen. Just observe the thoughts. Do not act on it. Your self-control will be when you're acting. So your thought will say, go wash your hands, go wash your hands, go wash your hands. You calmly sit and observe your body, observe your mind, and relax. When you do this 2-3 times, the obsession or the what we call as intensity of thoughts will drastically reduce. So you will be able to deal with your OCD kind of symptoms to a large extent. If it is not possible, if these methods are not working for you, then you have to see a therapist or a counselor.
Thank you, Dr. Anisha. So Dr. Pratishtha, my next question to you is someone who is generally suffering from a mental health issue. They say that they are having a loss of appetite or that they are stress eating. Do you think this is normal? And what can someone do to control themselves in such kind of a situation?
So if there is a loss of you either you overeat or you eat less, once in a while, it's okay. Okay, you all have a need. It's okay. You're like Dr. Anisha said, it's okay to not be okay all the time. But
Yes.
if this is consistent, okay, so if you're overeating, that becomes all the time, it becomes a defense mechanism for something. It could be stress, it could be low self-esteem, a lot of things that needs to be looked into. So if this is constant, then it's a problem. So anything, like Dr. Anisha said, that anything, any emotion that goes beyond a certain time frame, and you can see that consistently over days and weeks and months, that becomes a problem. So know where this is coming from. Awareness is very, very important, Niharika, in any of these emotions. Why are you overeating? Okay, sometimes you just like to eat sweets, and that's okay. We have a sweet tooth, that's fine, right? Even that needs to be curbed, but that's still okay. But when there is an emotion, you are angry and then you are eating sweets, or you're overeating, or you're stressed out. So know where this is coming from. What are the triggers? Why are you doing this consistently? And again, if you yourself are unable to do this, seek help from someone in the family, or at best, I always say, go to professional, because counselors or psychologists are not only if there is something really, really severe, something troubling you, something stopping you from leading a happy life, from being the best possible version of yourself, needs help. As simple as that. We don't go to doctors only when we have some major illness, like simple cold and cough, right? We go, we do home remedies, and when nothing happens, we go and see a doctor. It's as simple as that. So don't wait. If you feel that, oh, this is something I can't handle, I can't share with someone, or people around me can't help me, please go and talk to a counselor. It's that simple. And that's where the stigma will start. We'll stop that taboo thing that, oh, something has happened, only then we have to go. No, I want to talk, I need to sort this out in my head, sort out some emotions, and I'm going to a counselor. As simple as that.
Yes, definitely. So my last question for our session is to both of you, actually. Sometimes even when we need help, we convince ourselves that we can just manage it and we can do it all alone. So is it okay to not ask for help because we do not want to depend to others on this in this kind of situation?
No, it's not. Because you don't do everything by yourself. You can't do everything by yourself, right? If you have a fracture, you have to go to a doctor. You can't say, okay, I will put just Band-Aid or something and it'll be okay. So it's not okay that when you know that you need help, it's not depending. Are you depending? There is a professional who can help you with it, right? You go to a doctor, saying, oh, I'm dependent on a doctor. No, that doctor is there to help you. A teacher, a guide is there to help you. So it's not dependency. Yes, sometimes it also, it's because of personality. It also depends on the environment, your beliefs, a lot of things. So it's not that everybody would need to go to a counselor, for certain things, but some would, and it's okay. So again, don't compare your feelings, your emotions. If you are not okay, that's good enough reason to see a counselor or a psychologist.
Yes, definitely. Yes, Dr. Anisha, do you want to add something?
Yeah, to add on to what she was saying, sometimes you do feel that, why should I go to a therapist? It's a very trivial issue. And in the answer that Dr. Pratishtha gave before, you try a home remedy. So you would have had some coping mechanism that you're using. And because that coping mechanism has not worked, you have got this thought that you need help. So the moment this thought comes in your mind, just know it is a sign that you actually need help. And the whole idea of depending comes from informal relationships. Like you're depending on your mom, you're depending on your friend. So there is no written contract that says that this person will look after you. So you feel obliged. But when you're seeking a professional help, you are paying for their services. There is commitment from both sides. Okay, so you will definitely see results. And when it comes to choosing a professional, you need to understand it is like choosing a personal doctor, or it's like choosing a tailor. Everybody does it, but you will have some kind of a connection with one professional and you feel this will work out for you. Please go with that. Okay. And once again, I would like to stress, do a background check before you go to people, because there are people who do a 6-day course and they call themselves a counselor. There are people who have no background of psychology, they call themselves a counselor. Or another extreme, everybody goes to a psychiatrist first. There's nothing against psychiatrists, but the way a psychiatrist is taught to deal with a problem and a way a counselor or a psychologist is taught to deal with a problem is different. Sometimes your problems will not require medication. So I would probably say, when you have an issue, please start with a counselor. Okay, a person who is having a double degree in psychology and who says that I have dealt with clients and I am a counselor, etc., etc. They might even have a doctorate, like how I have a doctorate, right? So you go to a psychologist. A psychologist is taught to identify if things are out of their, expertise. So the moment your psychologist says, listen, this problem is a little severe, they will refer you to a psychiatrist or a clinical person. This is the best format, because a lot of times clients, they're feeling little sad, I'm not getting sleep. Immediately they go to a psychiatrist, or they do self-medication. This also we have heard. Please don't try such, such stunts, I would actually say, because you're actually doing that circus stunt with your mind. Don't do that. Okay? Please don't
Google
do that.
everything.
If you feel Google is there and Google is fantastic, but that will not guarantee you a degree. If Google was really as efficient as it is, we didn't need medical colleges. We didn't need law colleges. You Google everything, become a doctor, isn't it?
So what
There's
I
a
was trying to
difference.
say is, don't Google all the symptoms. Like something happens and we are okay, this is happening, and then there is a disorder that's named after that. So don't do that. Sometimes you actually need. So there is a way that assessments have to be done. There's a certain protocol that needs to be followed. So don't label yourself after just seeing, okay, yes, this all these symptoms are there now. Okay, I'm sure I have this. Don't do that.
Yes,
Because it will create more harm. It will create more harm than helping you. Because a lot of times, well, I have received cases where people have done self-medication and it was not required. And it takes a very long time for us to get them back to normalcy. Okay, it's not that we cannot do it, but it's more struggle for you as a client. And we are here to help each other out. We are here to help you smile more, right? So that way, be nice to yourself. Okay, please go seek help if you feel you need help, right? Definitely.
yes, definitely. So I'm sure this will benefit our listeners. And as we've come to the end of our discussion for today, thank you to both of you for taking time out from your respective schedules and joining us here today. Hopefully, we have done our bit to destigmatize mental health. And I'm leaving everyone with these words. There is a crack in everything, but that's how the light gets in. So thank you.
Beautiful, and thank you for having us here. Thank you.
Yes, our pleasure.
Thank you, Niharika, and thank you, everyone.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure connecting with all of you. Yes, thank you.
Same. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
So thank you for tuning in. And do not forget to catch out our next episode coming out on the 5th of November at 8 p.m. IST on YouTube, Spotify, and Google Podcast.
And before you leave, just remember, your soul is fierce
Your heart is brave.
and your mind is strong.